Welcome back. This is another Steeler Thoughts and Chief Feelings film review. I am Ajay Nair, the Chiefs fan and psychiatrist. Tonight we are reviewing the Steelers-Lions Week 3 of the preseason matchup. We're going to look at a couple plays from the first 3 drives or so of the game when most of the starters or several of the starters were still playing for the Steelers. This will be the last Steelers preseason film review, obviously. We'll have the Week 3 Chiefs-Bears preseason film review come out probably tomorrow. And then we'll be waiting until the NFL kickoff game, Chiefs-Ravens. We will see when the film review comes out after that. We'll be recording our NFL preview podcast on September 5th, that Thursday. It'll probably come out during the Chiefs-Ravens game, and we'll get a film review of that game as soon as the All-22 comes out, maybe sometime on Saturday or maybe Sunday. So that's what there is to look forward to coming up. But let's get started with this film review. We're starting with a play from the Steelers' first offensive drive. They're starting at the 45-yard line, and we can see they are here in 11 personnel. The running back and tight end here and 3 wide receivers. And let's get started. So I think the first thing to think about on this play is this is a little bit of Arthur Smith play design. And he does a really good job of getting the defense turned around, a little confused about what's going on. So if we watch here, the first thing that they're going to sell here on this play is a run to the left. So if you'll see, the offensive line starts as if they're kind of run blocking. They'll be shifting toward the left and try to get the line flowing. So we'll see this is kind of the first action of this play. Look at the offensive line. They come off the line. They start moving toward the left. Linebackers are all kind of coming up, looking for the run. Najee Harris is getting ready to accept a handoff and kind of run over to the left. So that's part 1 of this play design. Okay, so Wilson doesn't hand it off. It's a play action. What's part 2? Part 2 is bootleg. So oftentimes in offenses like Arthur Smith's, you fake a run one way, you get the quarterback on the run the other way, and you've got pass routes coming in this direction or tight end leaking out. So watch now what happens to the linebackers over here. Look at him, look at him, look at him. These guys are all looking for the pass patterns that come off of the bootleg because that's the pattern that you're used to seeing. You see the handoff fake to the left, the boot over to the right. This is what film study tells them. We're going out over here. There must be receivers getting ready because they faked us with the action over the left. What do the Steelers actually do? They leak George Pickens out, and they get Isaac Seumalo and James Daniels coming down the line, and they're actually going to run a wide receiver screen to the left. Now, the one negative about this play was Isaac Seumalo right here was not quite able to get out to his defender that he was supposed to block. I think part of it, and you can correct me if you think I'm wrong, but if we watch Seumalo here, part of it seems to me like he's trying to be a little nonchalant when he's coming out. You see, he's not starting to like run until right there. So it's almost like he's trying not to give up what's happening here. So he's kind of slow, and then he starts booking it, but unfortunately not quite quick enough, and so the defender gets past him, but Pickens makes a nice play to get out of that. Great contact balance right there. And to move forward here, and Pickens ends up getting up just past the first down marker. So again, a great play design. So action 1, faking run to the left. Action 2, faking boot to the right. And that sets up a pretty clear path for Pickens to be ready for the wide receiver screen. So if we look at it here, like assuming Seumalo was actually able to get out here and make this block, you know, you got Daniels here, Sumalu here. Pickens, assuming he didn't have to waste time like dodging that first tackle, he's got a pretty good path for a really good yards after the catch receiver. He ended up having to dodge one tackle, and so that kind of allowed the defense to get up on him. We can see the line movement a little better from this view. So watch how the line kind of flows to the right. The other part of it that I didn't mention from the other view and should have was Sumalu and Daniels did a great job of not being illegally downfield until Wilson threw the ball, but maybe we can see that from here as well. So here, there's the flow. Okay, so I'm a defender. What does it look like to me? It looks like run to the left. Look at them coming. Or run to our defense's right, the offense's left. Okay, boot. What does it look like now? Look at them turn. Turn and run, turn and run, turn and run. Oh no, he's bootlegging over here. And instead it's a throwback over. A really good play design. If Sumalu makes this block, this could have really gone far. And it actually looks like, yeah, Pickens is down right there. So I'm guessing that they called that down. Sorry, I haven't looked at like what actually happened play by play. But his elbow is clearly down, so that may have actually been a loss. But it was a very, very well-designed play right there from Arthur Smith. All right, here's the next play that we're going to look at. Steelers now on their 39-yard line. And they right here in a 3 wide receiver set, so 11 personnel again, 1 running back, 1 tight end, and they've got the 3 wide receivers. This play is what we're hoping for out of Russell Wilson. This is what we would expect if things go well and the Steelers offense is the kind of the Russell Wilson that we want to see. The idea being that if this can be run-based offense with a strong offensive line and pull things off of the run like play action, can we get Russell Wilson to just make a couple throws like this every game to kind of keep things moving and keep the defenses honest? So let's see what we've got here. Right here out of the snap, the Lions are showing cover 2. You've got 2 defenders here. It looks like it's a man set. It's kind of tough to tell with these corners, but we do have the slot like manned up. He could be playing a zone here. And there is somebody over the running back too. So kind of hard to say, but it looks like man. You'll notice at the snap what happens is that this safety rotates down and this safety comes back. So it actually ends up being a cover 1 look. And if you look, he is following the slot. He's following the tight end. So this actually is a man-to-man look. Okay, so then let's key into what Russell Wilson does on this play. So at the snap, look at Wilson. He's got his eyes over to the right. So basically, when you have man-to-man coverage, what your eyes are doing is manipulating the people that are looking back at the quarterback, the zone defenders, right? So these guys are already rotating. He's rotating down from that cover 2 look. He's rotating back. But if you notice, Wilson's eyes looking over here actually end up getting him to completely flip his hips and head in this direction. So he went from kind of in this area, coming all the way over, which part of that was just his general rotation, but now he's like flipped his hips. He sees the quarterback looking out over to the right. Then Wilson turns around, and this is a complete timing play at the last minute, ends up throwing a corner pattern to Pickens. So now let's look over here. So what is Pickens? Pickens comes in, kind of sells this, comes around, and runs a corner. And so Wilson, knowing the timing of this play, has his eyes over here. Don't want to kind of sell to the safety where you're going. The safety moves over there, and he's going to try to get to the middle field anyway, but he really, as you can see here, he's really going now. And Pickens, in the meantime, is coming out into his break. Runs a great route. Look at the defender. He manages to get the defender to even stumble. Comes out. Nice completion. So, and this is just it's a nice route combination overall. You've got Freiermuth going to the flat. You've got a corner over here from Van Jefferson. This is kind of over in the middle, occupying the cloud defender down here. and Pickens runs the corner over here, and Najee Harris ends up like coming and running a route over here, which would have been a nice last resort. If you look here, let's say Wilson had to hold the ball longer. Najee Harris actually did a great job getting past the linebacker and has a ton of space. It's a good route combination, simple, look off the safety, big completion to your best receiver. This is the kind of stuff that hopefully Wilson's going to be able to do. And you can really see his eyes here in the all 22 from the end zone side. So let's watch him here. Watch as he goes back, eyes clearly in this direction here, manipulating the safety, and he comes over to the middle and doesn't really look over until right about he's gonna throw. So again, we watch him, he's like starts back, looks over to his right, look over, he's open, immediately makes the throw. And look at that separation that Pickens got because of how well he ran the corner. Look at that separation. Huge window in the NFL to throw a ball. If the Steelers offense can do stuff like this, that will be a really formidable offense. This is what they have to do. And no, are they going to like lead the league in points? No, but they'll be able to move the ball if there's a threat of this kind of passing game. Teams are not going to be able to just key on the run game. And the Steelers themselves will have the confidence that, hey, if we're in 3rd and 7, if we're in 3rd and 11, these aren't impossible downs. We can do this. So if Russell Wilson's able to make plays like this, you'll see a much, much more adept Steelers offense than we've seen in the years past. All right, so later in this drive, we've got the Steelers have the ball just inside the 31-yard line. They're in 11 personnel. Cordero Patterson, the running back. Darnell Washington, the tight end. 3 wide receivers. And the Lions look like they are manned up. He might have Washington, and one of these two will have Patterson, and the other will be a robber. And then we've got a single high safety. So this looks like cover 1 man, which means zone defender. One of these guys is a zone defender. Let's just say him for argument's sake. Everybody else is manned up. At the snap, Steelers run motion, and the Lions do what's called rocking and rolling. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is, as a Chiefs fan, I remember this fondly from the Super Bowl 57 against the Eagles. This is what the Eagles did with their safeties. So what happens is the Chiefs would run somebody on like a jet motion and snap the ball as they were coming, which, gives them an advantage, gives them leverage over the person that's chasing them. So what they did to combat this kind of thing was they would actually have this guy come back and play safety, and this guy come and take that receiver that's running across. And they called that rocking and rolling. And the reason why it became famous in the Super Bowl is what the Chiefs did then was they ran somebody this way and then back out. They called it the corn dog motion. And this person would still be coming over here to the middle, and so the receiver would pop up wide open in the flat, and the Chiefs scored 2 touchdowns that way in the Super Bowl. So the Lions are rocking and rolling here. They got, okay, we're going to come back. I'm going to come back. I'm going to take you. But then if you watch this guy here, he's like, wait, this isn't a jet sweep motion. He's just staying there. You go get him. I'll be single high. And then the Steelers run it back over here, and they're running the motion back over here to get him to come back over here, because this is actually a run to the left side. And let's kind of look at what makes this run work. And it's really the blocking of 3 people. 1, 2, 3, the interior offensive line here. So this is made by, if we start with James Daniels, what he does is he climbs to block this linebacker, who actually ends up like really coming downhill and meeting him. Zach Frazier takes the defensive tackle here, and Isaac Seumalo helps. He does like a short double team on the defensive tackle and then climbs to get this linebacker. So the 3 of them really take care of 1, 2, 3. And these guys get blocked extremely well by the interior of the line, which helps open up a hole. All right, so let's watch it. Right here, we've got 1. Here you can see the double team, Seumalo and Frazier taking the tackle. And now let's watch Isaac Seumalo from here. He manages to kick out the linebacker. That's a huge block. And so these blocks are crucial. Frazier with a great block on the defensive tackle. Isaac Seumalo with the kick out. That's what makes the hole. And Patterson hits it at full speed, just has to make one man miss. The safety, gone for a touchdown. If you can get to the second level when you have a single high safety, and you're given your very fast running back one man to beat. He ends up having to only beat this man, and he's got a huge head of steam. So these blocks really set it up. One man to beat. Patterson gets past him. Touchdown Steelers. And let's look at it from the end zone view because the blocking is really incredible. In the year, we're going to have Daniels is going to block him. Frazier is going to come here. Seumalo is going to kind of help with the double and then come out, and a big kick out block right here to make a hole, and that hole is what Patterson is going to be able to fly right through. Boom, kick out, huge hole, just have to make the safety miss. Unfortunately, not to focus on the negative, but one thing that is unfortunate here is we see continued struggles for Broderick Jones. His job is to take this tackle here, and the tackle is again able to engage his hands well before Broderick can, and boom, completely slips that block. I mean, that's a real rough rep for Broderick right there. If we watch it again, he's trying to see how completely whiffs that block. Fortunately for us, the run was to the other side, and so that defensive tackle was out of the picture anyway. But it doesn't look pretty. In any case, big play for the Steelers. Great confidence boost with the blocking of the interior offensive line that they're able to make a hole like that result in a touchdown. All right, so let's get to some defensive plays now. Here the Lions are lined up in 11 personnel. We've seen a lot of 11 personnel this preseason, which is typical. Most teams run a lot of 11 in the NFL these days. It's a passing league. And the Steelers have their kind of 2 outside linebackers, 2 D tackles, and they look to be in nickel here. Looks like we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 defensive backs and 2 linebackers. So they're in nickel to combat the 11 personnel. And the Lions are going to run a sweep to the right. And I think you really want to just watch how disciplined the Steelers are. So first of all, they start with having backside defender blitz. So it's never great when you're blitzing away from the direction where a run is going. Right, because you're losing another defender at depth, assuming this run has some legs and can get going. So blitzing from the wrong side, the Steelers see the sweep. So the first thing is you want somebody to come and kind of set the edge to make sure that it's not just like a easy play to get out. So you start here. We've got our kind of defender here trying to set the edge. And the other thing is you want contain from the backside. So here's our contain. I mean, he let Hooker go by, but I'm assuming he saw that Hooker didn't have the ball because it's pretty easy. I mean, this was a long pitch. So normally in this situation, I mean, if you look, actually, he's kind of like hanging in, and then you see the ball pitched. So now you're contained, you ignore him, and you're just here trying to contain. And you want the defense, when you have like the edge set, then you want the defense to kind of flow slowly and press him toward the sideline without giving up the edge. Because the problem can be if you get guys over pursuing, then he can cut back and find a lane to get down the field in a hurry. So look at the discipline of the Steelers to their, continuing to press without overrunning this play. Nobody has overrun the play to this point, to the point that you could argue maybe the edge should be set a little more firmly, but it works the way that they're doing. They're not letting him get outside. Patrick Queen gets there and kind of corrals him, and they are able to make a nice team tackle. And I think Patrick Queen's performance on this play is really like most exemplary of the Steelers' discipline. If we watch him through the course of this play, he sees the sweep, Comes over to his left. He's going, but not out of control. Make sure, pursue, and he gets there at the same time as the running back. That's perfect. You just flow over and are able to get there to stop. And the other key being that 37 engages enough to prevent this, because if you don't set this edge, if this guy gets like washed in, let's say like blocked in and pushed that way, and Herbig does too, then he can get out there in a hurry and Patrick Queen's irrelevant. But when you have guys come in and set the edge to make him at least, have it to slow play it a little bit, that he can't just get a quick hard angle and go out, he has to bend it outside, then you have guys like Patrick Queen who are able to flow over. And again, let's look at it again. Nobody is overrunning this play. Look at Roberts, Patrick Queen. Nobody's getting way out ahead of this. They're slowly squeezing it to the sideline. It's great discipline. And like I said, watch Queen here. That kind of the rate at which he goes is perfect. He flows over. He's right there with the running back, right there to help corral him. It's a really disciplined run defense from the Steelers. All right, so we've got 3rd and short for the Lions. And the Lions are in shotgun. I don't actually know the Lions personnel very well, so this is either 10 or 11 personnel. We have 1 running back, and it looks like 4 wide receivers, which would be 1 running back and 0 tight ends, so that would be 11 personnel. It's possible one of these guys is a tight end that's split out. I just don't know the depths of their roster. So in that case, it would be 11 personnel. But the Steelers are set up in nickel. They've got 2 linebackers on the field. And Herbig is kind of playing stand-up linebacker here, as opposed to an edge, which he plays often. And they look to be manned up. Man. And Fitzpatrick is your deep safety. So at the snap, they actually run Herbig on a blitz, and it looks like a Landon Roberts is the guy who's responsible for manning up the running back. However, once the running back stays in to block Herbig, Landon Roberts also starts coming in. It was a good blitz from Herbig, but the running back did just enough to engage Herbig, long enough for Hooker to slide. It was a nice slide to the side and make a throw. But before we kind of look at the blitz part of it, I really want to focus on what's going on at the bottom of your screen. We've got Corey Trice and we've got Patrick Queen. And the Lions just run a really good play that ends up putting Patrick Queen in a really tough spot. First of all, in one of the previous clips, we were talking about how teams run kind of jet motion. So look at 84 running at the snap. Now, there are 2 ways that teams do this. Sometimes they'll have them run behind the line of scrimmage and then come across at the snap. And the other way, which is what 84 does, is he's going to run and then use that momentum to run a drag route. So that's already a tough spot for whoever's covering him. Right now, it looks like Corey Trice is manned up on him. Well, what makes it even more tough as he crosses over below the slot receiver before he goes, what makes it more tough is it appears from the way they respond to this that Queen and Trice have basically a combo where whichever receiver breaks to the outside will be guarded by Trice, and whichever receiver breaks to the inside will be Queen's responsibility. Well, so look at this. You've got 84 that's already on the move, right? And now Queen is standing here trying to decide who's going in and who's going out. By the time he realizes it, 84 already's got a step on him. Like, there's no way Queen's going to catch him. So it was a perfect play for the coverage. It ended up working perfectly for the Lions. Always good to have a guy on the move at the snap, but it even helps when this guy is having to make a decision about who he has to cover. So by the time he decides and turns his hips, I mean, this guy was already at full speed. He was already going, easy completion, and they get a first down. Just a really tough spot for Patrick Queen. So from this view, you can see how the Steelers shift. This is very interesting. So they actually start, what it looks like at the start is they rotate here, and Herbig's down on the line, so they've got 5 people down here. And then Herbig comes out playing stand up. They move 1, 2, 3 over here. He comes up over the guard. Then they slide back. So they're messing with the protections. And then right as they shift, they bring 94 back into a position where the center has to worry about him. And the end result is they confuse the line enough that they get a free rusher. This is really well done by Terrell Austin and his crew. The amount of shifting they do, if you look at the center trying to communicate what's going on, shift, then shift back. And so now this guard is going to have to look after him. You bring him in here late enough that the center has to look after him. And so center here, guard here, opening. But again, this is the thing that I think, and debate for another day about things like blocking tight ends and how much blocking is important. But all you got to do to have a good block is that. Just stop your guy from doing what he wants to do and give your guy enough time. This is not the prettiest looking block by 27, but this is all you have to do. That's it. Just enough time to get in the throw off. First down, Lions. So a well-designed pressure is beaten by a just good enough block and a well-designed pass route. Next play. Here we have the Steelers lined up. And now we've got 3 down linemen. So this is a little more of like a traditional 3-4 look that the Steelers have started using on our last couple defensive plays. There are 3 down linemen and you have the 2 outside linebackers. If we noticed earlier, sometimes on the passing downs, they'll kind of only have the 2 defensive tackles and then they'll have 2 linebackers. But here, they're getting 3 down and the 2 outside linebackers. And if you look at what they're doing in coverage, it looks like here they're manned up again with a single high safety. So we got man-to-man, 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 1 safety high. And it looks like Patrick Queen is playing the robber role. And the real action, though, what's going on here is at the defensive line level. And you really we start by looking at Keanu Benton and then Larry Ogunjobi. And finally, Nick Herbig. So what's going to happen is Benton puts on a nice spin move after the snap and gets himself freed up pretty quick against the center. This is already a pass rush win, right? He's coming in and he's putting pressure. The moment after Benton's spin move, right at the snap, if you look at Larry Ogunjobi, he puts kind of a swim move to the inside, and he also wins. Now, if you have both of your defensive tackles winning on quick pressures, if you look the snap here, both of them have won within, 2.5 seconds is the general moniker of whether that's a real, that's the marker that they use about whether that's a real pass rush win. So both of them very quickly, and, pressure up the middle for a quarterback is the worst thing. And then if you look off to the side, they actually do a pretty good job with Nick Herbig. They have, I actually don't even remember if this is Nate or Nick. This is what happens when you have a Chiefs fan do your film review, But Herbig, in any case, the tackle gets help from the running back, and they kind of push him out around the corner, which is exactly what you want to do. And Herbig feels that and spins back, which is precisely what's needed, because what happens when you get an edge kind of around the corner and then you got pressure up the middle is that a quarterback like Hendon Hooker can escape through the gap created and possibly gain positive yardage. But look what Herbig does. He sees he's not getting around the edge. He spins back around, and he's right there to eat it up for a sack. So kind of created by the 2 defensive tackles, finished up by Herbig on the outside. So let's watch this again. And again, Benton's going to kind of spin and come through. Then we get a Ogunjobi with a swim move coming in. They really say, to have a good pass rush, right? what I've heard Seth Kaiser, who does the Chief of the North blog and is on the Times R's now it's the Only Weird Games podcast on Kansas City Sports Network. He always talks about how you need a complementary pass rush. And so what you need one person at least that is winning quickly and another person that's at least getting a win or something to the extent that they can collapse the pocket and clean it up. Because usually if one person wins, then the quarterback can escape from that. And as you saw here in this case, even with two winning, it could have been possible for Hooker to come out. But when you've got at least one winning and at least another one kind of there to clean up, and then you get two tackles winning and someone to clean up, I mean, this is impossible for Hendon Hooker. So let's watch Benton pull a spin move right there. Boom, he's already won. You can see there's no leverage. Ogunjobi is about to win right here. He's doing his swim move. I mean, and look at the timing. Herbig knows that he's not getting anywhere. He's too far already here as the running back's trying to chip him. So right here, these two guys are winning. If Herbig continues down the arc, Hooker's got an escape route. But Herbig very smartly spins, comes back, shuts the door. That's a sack for the Steelers. That's great pass rushing. And if you're going to have your tackles win like that, it's going to be a long day for quarterbacks. Okay. And this was the very next play, and it'll actually make a nice contrast to the first play we saw. You know, the play we just saw, we saw two defensive tackles winning very quickly, Benton and Ogunjobi, and giving the quarterback, guys in his face immediately, not really able to process the field. Well, this play also results in a sack, but we get there by a very different process. So, let's kind of look at this play and see how we get where we get. So first, let's look at what the Steelers are doing. The Lions have like this bunch set here. They've got a tight end over there. They're in 11 personnel. And the Steelers look to be dropping into a cover 3. But since the Lions are in a bunch, it's this kind of odd-looking squeezed cover 3. Because normally you imagine like somebody out there, somebody in the middle of the field, and somebody on this side. But since there isn't a wide receiver out here, and the tight end, this guy is kind of keeping eyes on where the tight end is, like they have to cover this part of the field whatsoever. Nobody's even remotely close to threatening that part of the field. So as not an expert in secondary play, what this looks to me like is this is a cover 3 that they've kind of squeezed over to this side of the field because that's where all the action is. And that's tough against the zone defense, not challenging all parts of the field. It just makes it easier for them to crowd areas and make it difficult for you to make a pass. So they're running cover 3, and these two guys handle the deep route. There's no chance for him to get anything. Landon Roberts handles the tight end over the middle. We've got eyes on the flat for the running back coming out. And this side of it looks really weird, the right side of it. Let's go back a little farther. So, the point guy up here is going to be the one that's going to run the deep route down the middle. And these two guys coming off, if you notice, he looks like he's going to kind of try to engage. And then it's unclear where he's going. And he also kind of comes over here, and they end up almost being able to be guarded by the same guy. Like Hooker's clearly looking over here, and he wants something here. But you've got one defender that's essentially taking care of both of these guys. They seem like they're too close to each other. Something happened in this route combination. I don't know if he was supposed to run this flatter or, see him like kind of get upfield, or if he was supposed to try to take the defender farther downfield. But it seems unlikely that they drew it up to have Hooker looking at this with two guys this close together and one defender essentially making it hard to, you can see at this point Hooker really thinks about pulling the trigger right there, but he's got one defender sitting right in between both of these guys, and he's also there to rally in case he can't get back there. Like, there's just nothing there. When you are talking about beating a zone, like, these guys are too close together. This window is too small for Hooker to feel good about making a throw. He wants to throw right now. His hands back. I mean, where is he going to throw this ball? He's got them both covered. So something seems wrong here. So now Hooker has like kind of looked at his first read. One could argue his first two reads and not found anything. And now he's kind of, he pumps, no. He's looking back over the middle. This is covered. This is covered. There's nowhere for him to go. And Keanu Benton ends up beating his man. And this is what they would term a coverage sack. Our first sack that we just went through was, defensive line beating their men and giving the quarterback no option. This was the secondary covering everything, partially due to something really looking wrong on the combination of routes by these two. And then we can watch Benton. Benton initially up against the left guard, he makes a move, makes another move, and then is able to toss him, really good upper body strength here. But, this is a long developing pass rush. This is what they call winning slowly, and he ends up getting the sack. But the real credit here goes to the defensive backfield and some blame to the receivers, I would guess, for how they ran it. If you want to look at Benton, he's here. One move, another move, manages to toss his guy, and he wins. And that's still an important play. You still got to close it down with your quarterback's first read, second read. He goes to his third read. It's not there. You do want to be able to get to him by then, because at some point guys are going to uncover. It doesn't matter, how well you're playing in coverage. Like at some point people are going to uncover. So I'm not at all, trying to minimize Benton's efforts here. This is a good win, but it's not a quick win. It's not that under 2.5 seconds that we were talking about. This was a little bit of a slower win, but he gets rewarded for his hard work. He gets the sack because the Steelers covered this play well. Okay, so we've just had a couple sacks on this drive. We've got a long distance now for the Lions to go. They are lined up here in 11 personnel. Got one running back. Got one tight end right here. And the Steelers looking like they're playing a cover 2 shell. And you look how far off the corners are. I mean, it's third and long. I believe it's third and long on this play, and third and something like 24. So they are willing perfectly to give everything up underneath. They know that the Lions want something down the field. So in this situation, right, the most common thing is either the Lions will try a deep shot to try to get the yardage, or they'll run a screen pass. So the Steelers, typically what teams do here is they just kind of drop back, give up anything underneath, and try to rally to the ball and tackle. And as you can see, here we go back at the snap. Really, it ends up kind of being a cover 4 because they've got the safeties or the corners way far back, and look how far the linebackers are already. They're like perfectly willing to give up this drag route. And if you see Hooker taking a deep drop, and he's going to kind of look for something down the field, but with the Steelers dropping so far deep, there's not really much, and they're perfectly willing to give him the check down. But what happens on this play is the kind of man of the hour to look at is Herbig. Herbig doesn't get the chip help that we saw him get on his first sack, where the back came to the outside to chip. Instead, as Herbig comes around, the back comes and releases to try to be a safety valve. But Herbig, with this nice skip step move right here, gets past the shoulder of the tackle. And in combination with the deep drop from Hooker, that gives Herbig the possibility of getting in there. So you see this kind of deep drop by Hooker. Herbig has a chance to get in, but the tackle does a pretty good job of kind of shoving him deep, right? And Hooker notices and steps up. But Herbig is very athletic, and look how much bend he has. As he comes around here, he gets shoved deep. Hooker steps up, but look at how he's able to turn. Look at that. They talk about having the hip and ankle flexibility. Look at how low he's able to get to the ground. stop his momentum, and he's able to get a hand on the football before Hooker can throw, force a fumble, which is recovered by the Steelers. And it's a tough spot for Hooker, right? Like, there's not much, he's got the underneath throw. He doesn't want to take this, right? And the Steelers have everything kind of set up down the field. There's nothing really there for him. He does the right thing by stepping up, but Herbig just did a great job of cornering and managed to get his hand on the ball. When, an edge is going to win that quickly, especially on a deep route, it's tough for a quarterback here. So we can watch it again, and really what I appreciate most about this play is we see Herbig getting off the line. He has a good get off here, faster than the tackle, so that already comes to his advantage. That little step he makes here, that move, was crucial in getting him past, and then the way he is able to corner and get to the quarterback. But, that's a quick win. The way he's able to get around the corner, that's tough for a quarterback. That's just really good pass rushing. We can watch it one more time. Nice move to get around the corner. Great flexibility to get around. Strip sack, turnover, Steelers ball. All right, so the last three plays, I believe we're going to review are going to be of the offense run by Justin Fields. So we can get a little bit of a view of how he did in this game on his first drive. So right here he's faced with a third down, and the Steelers now in 11 personnel again, one running back, one tight end. So they got three wide receivers. They've got third and about 4-ish. And so the play that they're going to try to run here is a zone read. So you can see Fields keeps on the zone read. The tight end actually cuts the read defender. He comes across. So for the principle of the zone read, what's going to happen is you leave the end on the side that you're trying to go unblocked. Right, so the tackle's not going to deal. He's going to block down. And Fields' job is to read this end. If the end crashes down hard, then Fields keeps the ball and runs with it. If the end sits and doesn't commit and waits, then Fields is to hand the ball off and take advantage of the numbers. If we have one less person going into the run fit, there should be a little more chance of an advantage. So what the Steelers do, which is a little atypical in the zone read, is they block like you normally block the zone read to make a read, right? But they kind of take the read out of Fields' mind because they're going to block him with the tight end coming across. So this, I think, if you block it like this, is just a quarterback keeper. Like, there's never a time when Fields is going to hand this off, because you've taken care of that end defender, and so Fields should have a place to go. Now, the thing that's weird about this play is that normally it looks like the Lions are in zone, right? They're in zone coverage, and you can see that with the defenders dropping off, especially with this defender. You see Van Jefferson coming in, and this defender is not following him. So there's something's wrong about this play, in my opinion, because if this is man coverage, then what Van Jefferson makes sense. What he does makes sense. He's coming to bring his man inside and give Justin Fields a place to go, right? But this defender is in zone. So you would think what Van Jefferson's move is just to block him. Because what he does is he comes inside, and look, there's a guy right there waiting for Justin Fields before the first down marker. Now, Justin Fields is athletic, and he manages to kind of cut it up and get the first down. But there's no way that this was intended, right? I would be really surprised if the goal was to have this guy just hanging out waiting to lay a hit on Justin Fields. Now, the one part of the guesswork is I feel confident that they wanted Fields to keep this ball. And I feel that way because they brought the the tight end over to block the end. But I think the other piece of that should have been Van Jefferson blocking to give Fields like a clear shot. I don't know if that's something where Van Jefferson doesn't know the play, or if Fields is supposed to make a check because they're in zone, or Van Jefferson is supposed to realize they're in zone and make that check. But the only way it makes sense to me that Jefferson run this route is if they think it's man coverage and he's going to run with him. Well, that clearly didn't happen. So it seems like somebody messed up. I don't know who it was. But in any case, Fields managed to do what he needed to do and get the first down anyway. Nice thing about being a supreme athlete. Again, so we're looking at it from this angle. This is your read guy normally. And so you do, if the tight end wasn't coming across to make this block, then you do what you do based on what he does. So it kind of looks like he doesn't like fully commit. This is, it's tough as a quarterback to make your read, but he doesn't crash down, right? So in this situation, my guess is the right move is to hand this ball off. But Fields doesn't have to worry about that because he's got a protector who's going to come in and cut him. He's out of the picture. I feel like he should be out of the picture. But as we see, Van Jefferson, there he is right here, is running across the formation. That guy's not running with him. My guess is on this coverage, Van Jefferson should be blocking him. But in any case, Fields manages to get the first down, and the drive continues. All right. So now, Steelers with the ball just inside the 25-yard line. We had a play earlier. Russell Wilson made a nice throw to George Pickens on the sideline. And we talked about how that's what they need from Russell Wilson. Like, that would be the advantage of having a quarterback like Russell Wilson, that you just drop it back, manipulate the defense with your eyes, make a throw to a good receiver running a good route. If you can do that, that would be all this offense really needs, all this team needs with the defense that it has. This play to me is an example of what someone like Arthur Smith could do to make Justin Fields a viable option at quarterback. Because we know about his athleticism. We know how much, we just saw a play where he had an unblocked DB right there stopping him to get a first down, and Fields managed to get it done anyway. So if he can have reads that are fairly well drawn up, where the offense can win a little bit for him and make his decisions fairly simple, I think that it can build to a place where maybe he can be a viable passer, But if the offense is set up in a way where it's not too complicated for him to execute, because we've seen, from his first couple years, not saying he's not capable of executing a complicated offense, or he won't be, but so far, things have been tough for him in the passing game. So what do you do in those situations? You make things easy. And Arthur Smith, with this play design, made things easy for Justin Fields. And when you're able to do that enough to make him a viable passing threat, it'll open up a lot more in the offense. So let's see what Arthur Smith did to make this a little easier for Justin Fields. So starting here, we're in 11 personnel. And one running back, one tight end. That means we got 3 wide receivers. And it looks like the Lions are playing a cover 2. Let's kind of run this a little bit to see what the Lions are playing. Boom. 2 deep. And if you look at their route combinations, they look like they're playing zone, right? Everybody's dropping back in their zone. You got to cover 2. Okay. So first things first, what do you read? Where do you want guys going to get open against a cover 2 defense? So on the sides, it really kind of depends on what the corners are doing. So it looks here like the corners are dropping deep. If you see, like, some cover 2 corners usually do one of 2 things. They either stay up and they play the flat, or they drop back and play kind of an intermediate zone. So then, you've got safety coming out like this. You got a safety coming out back there. So the open areas of the field, if your corner is playing the flat, then on the sideline you kind of get this hole shot right there on these sides. So that is one place where you can get open. Now, if the corner is dropping, then of course your open area on the sideline is in the flat. What about in the middle of the field? Well, you usually have someone dropping, someone dropping, someone dropping. But since the corners come out, oftentimes the other place that you can get an opening is right here in between the two corners. And what cover 2 defenses often do to combat that is if there is a deep route, they send the middle linebacker back. And so it becomes kind of a pseudo cover 3, because the middle linebacker will drop to the deep middle and the corners will come out. So that's one way that defenses try to combat that. So we see a cover 2. So the first thing is, let's run a route to an easy place in a cover 2 to get open. So where does Arthur Smith run our tight end? He hits right in the middle, right down the seam. He gets the tight end to come. And you see the middle linebacker is dropping, but he's not at a depth to prevent a throw here. So the tight end, this is what you want to do as a schemer when you're running an offense. Arthur Smith, get an easy throw for your quarterback. We know where the gaps are in the cover 2. Send a guy into a gap, especially a guy that, coming down the seam, it's a fairly straight throw. Well, the other part of this scheme is, how do you keep the middle linebacker here? How did Arthur Smith ensure that the middle linebacker wasn't in the way to prevent this throw and to make it an easy throw? Well, let's look what happens. They run a play action. So you see the fake handoff right here. And they don't just run a play action. They pull Isaac Seumalo to come and block the end. So they actually have Broderick Jones blocked down. And they pull Seumalo to block the end. So it looks, well, that's kind of fancy. Like, why did they do that? Why didn't they just block it up normally? Like, they pull Seumalo. Well, when you have a fake handoff and a pulling guard, that looks even more like a run than just the handoff. So what these linebackers now are seeing is fake handoff, pulling guard, and that to them is key. That's run, run, run. Now look, he's coming up. He takes a couple steps up. That's all that's needed. You see, he had to take a couple steps up and put his foot in the ground. It's too late. We've got the opening. That's an easy read for Justin Fields. That must be his first read on this play, I would imagine, is looking down the seam for the tight end. And Arthur Smith with the fake handoff, the pulling guard, sending him into the opening, knowing that he did enough with his run action to hold the middle linebacker long enough to create this opening. That's a wide open space now for Fields to throw the ball. An easy read for him to make, and he's a good passer when, he knows where he's going with the ball. It's not like he doesn't have an arm. So, nice pass in there, first down. This is the kind of thing you want to see from Arthur Smith, and if they are able to do it, that's the kind of thing that's going to make Justin Fields a viable passer. You have to create plays that he's able to execute, and Arthur Smith is good enough at setting up easy reads for his quarterback by using actions like this. So again, look at this from the view of a linebacker. You're seeing a guard pull as the quarterback is handing it off to the running back. This looks like a run. And so look at him come up. And to his credit, he notices quickly, but look at that. He's already taken a couple steps. Tight end's already got leverage on him. He notices quickly and turns around, but it's too late. Boom. Fields has the window. That's an easy throw for him to make. If Arthur Smith is able to scheme stuff up like this for Justin Fields, he can look good as a passer. And if he looks good as a passer, again, another dimension to this offense, another chance for this offense to look good enough for this team to be good. We're not needing an offense that's like top 5 in the league here. If the Steelers have like a middling offense, somewhere around 15th, 16th best offense in the league, with their defense, that might be enough. With as bad of a defense as they've had in the past, they're still making the playoffs. They might be like a seriously difficult team if they have a middling offense. And this is one avenue. Arthur Smith designing up plays that makes things easier for Fields. That's another way that the Steelers could have a decent offense this year. All right, this is going to be our last play from this week's film review. We're here at the goal line. It's 3rd and goal for the Steelers, and we're going to run a zone read with Justin Fields. Again, we talked about a zone read in a previous play, but the idea being that you're going to leave the end defender unblocked, and you're going to read him to decide what to do, whether you're going to hand the ball off or whether you're going to take it as the quarterback. So the defender that's going to be unblocked is here. So the entire line is going to block down. And then Justin Fields is basically going to see, okay, if you crash down, we're going to hold the ball and run around you. If you kind of hit and hedge, then we hand it off to the running back who's going to run into the area that you vacated. So we see here, look at 95. 95 kind of comes up, but he doesn't commit. So when we say crashing down, we're talking about if 95 were to really come in, right? Like get to a place where he's like pushing in the line for a potential run. If he stays out wide like he did, Fields can hand off and look, easy touchdown. And that honestly is the kind of having Justin Fields on your team. Like when teams see what a running threat your quarterback is, look at him. 95 isn't thinking about the running back one bit. He's going to the point that he even hits Justin Fields after the play. And then you can see Justin Fields at the very end of here, like kind of pointing, like, look, we got you. But let's see this here from this view. So again, we got 95 here. He's the guy you're reading. And if 95 crashes, Fields keeps this. If 95 kind of comes up the field, then Fields hands it off. If you look at what Fields is seeing when he makes the decision right here, look at the gap. So he hasn't crashed down, right? He's coming up the field. It's really much easier to see from this vantage point. So you see him kind of getting up the field, hand that ball off, easy touchdown. All right, well, that does it for this week's film review, Steeler Thoughts and Chief Feeling. Like I said, we will do a film review of the Chiefs-Bears preseason game a little bit later. It may not be like a full-length film review as the starters didn't play, so we might look at a few plays here and there. Carson Steele had a very good game from the running back position, so we might see a little bit of what he did. And then upcoming things from us, we have on Thursday, kickoff day, we will have a podcast which will be just an overall NFL preview. We'll be releasing that probably sometime during the Chiefs-Ravens game. Please follow along on social media. That's at Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. The handle's the same everywhere, at STCF715. We will be tweeting during the Chiefs-Ravens game, and we'll tweet out some clips and thoughts post-game as well. And then a film review will come up for that game once the All-22 comes out. That's stuff coming up. And we just had a podcast that dropped last night, which was an Ohio State preview with our friend Lonnie Hoffman, diehard Ohio State football fan. So if you're interested in that, you can check it out on YouTube. Also, wherever you get your podcasts, the audio version is up there too. All right. Thanks so much for following along. Until next time.